Yes, welcome everybody to Playback. My name is Brandon.
My name is Nate.
And this is the show where two music producers take turns picking albums to talk about. Nate, this was your pick on our, by the way, 25th episode.
Wow. 25.
Yeah, yes. You picked Philosophy of the World by The Shags.
Yes.
What is it? Why? In God's name? Oh, by the way, before we begin, there's only one question. I only have one question for you.
Okay.
That is, who are parents? But
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. What is it? Why'd you pick it?
Yeah. So truly, I was laying awake at night before we recorded our last episode, and I couldn't sleep. And I don't know why I put this on. I was just trying to think of any album to pick. I was having this like stage fright of like not being able to pick something for the show. And I listened to it and I just started laughing so hard because I was imagining forcing Brandon to listen to this over and over and over again. And it made me laugh hysterically, as it did almost every time I've listened to this album.
By yourself in your bed, laughing out loud IRL, imagining me having to listen to the Shags.
Yeah.
Right.
Says nothing
that's
about
a good enough reason.
Everyone else I'm potentially forcing to also listen to it. But yeah, I mean that's how it started. But then I started listening to it and I started thinking, we started pulling on a thread with our Captain Beefheart episode, the Trout Mask replica episode, that I think is an interesting thread to pull on for this show. And I want to see what are the boundaries of music that we can talk about on this show, right? A lot of the albums that we talk about, they fit in a pretty narrow band of like, even the worst ones have the same thing in common with some of the best ones, which is that they're generally songs, and it's like music you can it's approachable music, you can like it or not like it, but it's all very approachable compared to something like this or something like Trout Mask. There's a spectrum there, right?
Yeah. And
on one end of the spectrum, you have something borderline unlistenable like Trout Mask, but that is kind of brilliantly genius. It's like trying to sound awful, but it's actually done in like a genius way. And this, it's like accidentally sounding awful in an accidental way. And it's a really interesting contrast for me. How much can we do with this podcast? Can we talk about this? Maybe this might be our worst episode. I don't know. We'll see. But I find this to be a really fascinating album to talk about for many reasons. There's a whole insane story surrounding it that is a very me thing to be into. It's very culty. It's very occulty in a lot of ways.
It's a very, very interesting backstory to this album.
Yeah. And if you've never heard this before, Brandon, at the end of our last episode, he pointed out this album is generally regarded as like probably the worst album.
The worst album ever made.
Yeah. That's the real, if you want to know why you should be interested in hearing this, that's why. It's like the worst, hardest music to listen to that's ever really been released or that's ever been kind of popular that like people know about,
Yeah, right. There's plenty of music out there on cassettes and, home burned CDs made by shitty bands that is probably worse or just as bad as this. But no, worse than this.
Yeah.
But nothing has gotten popular.
Right.
And has a Wikipedia page.
Right.
Yeah, right. This is the worst album that has a Wikipedia page, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the worst album that like your heroes have heard, right?
Yeah.
The worst album that Kurt Cobain listened to. The worst album that Frank Zappa said he loved or whatever the fuck.
Right, yeah, because those guys liked it.
I take umbrage with both of them saying shit about this album. We could just get it out of the way. For me, this album has famous defenders, Frank Zappa and Kurt Cobain being the two most famous. And the funny thing about those two in particular is they're both kind of very disingenuous trolls.
Totally.
Like Frank Zappa absolutely was saying it tongue in cheek and was just trying to be funny, I think.
To be ironic, to be contrarian.
Ironic. Yeah, he said this is better. The Shags are better than the Beatles. Like, he knew what he was doing. Like, he made fun of the Beatles all the time. You know, he had that one album cover where he's ripping on Sgt. Pepper's and shit. Like, with him, it's kind of like, okay, he's obviously being ironic. And with Kurt Cobain was like one of the most. He was such a snooty guy. He had such snooty taste. Like,
he like him and Janine Garofalo are the paragon of that Gen X whateverness. You know, like whatever is cool, fuck that.
Yeah.
And whatever is very not cool, that's awesome. Who am I going to say my favorite band is? Well, it can't be someone that I actually like and that actually is good.
Yeah.
Definitely can't be them.
Who's the opposite of Poison? You know, in 1986.
Pretty much, the only band that I could stand, but you know, that my Gen X reputation could withstand saying publicly is my favorite band is the Shags.
Exactly. Yeah. So both of those takes, I kind of throw those out the window when I take into consideration of like, is this good or not? And that's honestly one of the things I kind of want to get at with you in this episode. This album. It's widely regarded, it's widely pointed and laughed at as being just awful, right? And like, honestly, when you hear it...
Yeah, it's a source of comedy primarily.
Yeah. And like when you listen to it, it is insanely hard to listen to. I would argue over my time of digging into it, I kind of was able to sort of zone out and like kind of vibe with the Shags a little bit, like especially today when I listened to it again. I was able to kind of sink into their flow a little bit. There is another contingent of critics, especially as of late, like our generation, who are like, no, this is good actually. And I'm kind of like,
no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing where people are saying that the Star Wars prequels, like, no, they're actually good. It's like, no, they're not.
No, they're not. Yeah. And I don't want this episode to be us like pointing and laughing at the Shags and talking about how stupid and dumb it is, because there's interesting things in here to talk about, but that does not make this good.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting stuff to be learned from and really worthwhile topics about music, about musicianship, about production, about everything. There's a lot to be learned from this.
Yeah, what to do, what not to do.
But like you said, it doesn't mean that this is good music. And because like Trout Mask, these two albums are really, really commonly compared to each other.
Yeah.
Trout Mask Replica and this one.
And I think it's so unfair to Trout Mask. It's kind of unfair to Trout Mask.
Yeah, they only have superficial similarities, right? Which is like the discordance of the rhythm, the discordance of the notes being played, and how difficult the musical thread is to follow and stuff like that, you know? But substantially, when you get below the surface, they could not be more different.
100% agree with you.
And that they're made by people who were locked in a house, but that's also a similarity.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Trout Mask is genius, and this, I don't think that this is genius.
No. And I think by the very nature that Trout Mask was intentional and this is largely accidental. I think that,
yes. Trout Mask is intentional.
Yeah, Trout, like this, you know, people point out that like the Wiggins sisters had some kind of internal logic and like song form that they followed and they wrote this stuff or whatever.
I don't believe that.
That's what they claim, but
I don't believe that. And I have proof, which I will get into.
Interesting.
When we talk about the production. I have a lot of thoughts about this album.
I'm glad. I do too, actually. See,
At first, I did not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What was your first?
I did not.
What was your first listen through? I actually almost Venmo'd Brandon like $10 to just put a front-facing camera on his face while he listened.
Should have done a reaction video.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. But what was what was your first impression of listening to it?
I don't think a reaction video would have been very good because I think that my thoughts on it now after some time are more valuable than what my thoughts were at the first time, which was my first impressions were that this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like this is really dumb. And so I mean, okay, so we normally spend 2 weeks
Yeah.
listening to these albums to do an episode. And I only listened to this album like 4 or 5 times.
That's not
Which
that
is-
bad.
I normally will listen to them like about 10 times.
10 times, okay.
If not more. And it's generally just because like after I heard it a couple times, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to listen to it anymore. I get it. And it's really dumb. And I really don't think that this is a misunderstood masterpiece.
That's what you did think. Now you think it is, though, right?
Well, no, I still don't think. I still don't think that this is a misunderstood masterpiece. However, it is very interesting and very fascinating. And I really do believe that musicians and producers, both new learning musicians and producers and even really experienced ones, can learn a lot about music from listening to this. Because this album shows us something that almost no recorded music does. And as I will get into, there's a lot to learn from this about like the principles of what makes music work and what makes it not work. This is a very good tool for learning.
Yeah, there's a spectrum there, right? Like,
Yeah.
and while this is very interesting, like, yeah, like you said, don't mistake this for being like some diamond in the rough of like some lost gem. Like, it's not.
Or that these sisters made this music like this on purpose. Like Trout Mask. That's why we compare to Trout Mask.
Yeah.
Trout Mask Replica, the aspects of it that are musically not regular are fully intentional. And this is not.
Yeah.
They were trying to play normal music,
Yeah.
and they couldn't. Who are, you thought I was going to say parents, the Shags.
So the biggest thing that got me in, right, that made me want to pick this is the story, right? It's
This
not.
album is so Nate-ish.
It's so Nate.
It's so Nate-y.
It's not. It's not really. The music is not really what hooked me. It's the story.
It's the story.
And the
yeah.
story is really famous, okay? And we're not going to go super deep into it, but we're going to give you a really broad overview.
This is a really well-documented story.
Yeah.
And there's other really good videos on YouTube that tell the entire story, which I'm sure we can link in the description, right?
Yes.
Nate, who actually does that, not me.
Yes, and usually forget to, but yes. So the Shags are 3 sisters, okay? There is a 4th sister as well. I think her name was, I'm forgetting her
Rachel.
name. Rachel, exactly. So there's Dot, Betty, and Helen Wiggin, and occasionally Rachel, who played bass. But Dot and Betty played guitars and sang lead vocals, and then Helen played the drums, all right? So
Right.
that was the Shags, okay?
So Rachel, the youngest one playing bass, is only on one song on this album.
Really?
Yeah, like 99% of this album is just the 3.
Oh man, I missed
Just
that.
Dot.
Which song is Rachel on?
That little sports car.
Oh,
The second song.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So all the other songs are Dot and Betty playing guitar and singing, and then Helen playing drums.
Yeah. So the important thing to know about the Shags is their dad, Austin Wiggin Jr. Okay. Now, their dad, his mother, was apparently a palm reader. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm going to quote from Susan Orlean, who wrote a New Yorker article about the Shags from 1999. And Susan writes,
Whoa. Sorry to interrupt you. Susan Orlean is the one from Adaptation, right?
Oh my God, you're right.
Isn't that her?
I think
I was
you're
like, where do I know that name?
I was
dude.
thinking that too. Why do I know her name?
Dude.
That is fucked up. Anyway, so Susan Orlean of Adaptation fame writes, when Austin was young, and this is the Wiggins' father. So when Austin was young, his mother studied his palm and told him that in the future he would marry a strawberry blonde, he would have 2 sons she would not live to see, and that his daughters would play in a famous band. Okay. Now, he did marry a strawberry blonde.
Yep.
He did
First came true.
First prophecy came true. He did have 2 sons.
It came true. She died, and then he had 2 sons.
Yeah, she died. Yeah. He had 2 sons, and then he had 4 daughters. And by the time they were all in high school, it seems like grade school, high school, he basically was going to will them into fulfilling their grandmother's 3rd prophecy. And this is right around the time of when like the Beatles and the British Invasion was coming out. And he kind of looked at those bands as like, oh, that's stupid. It's silly. It's easy. It's nothing. Like
anybody could
do that. Like anyone could do that, right? So he kind of he bought them all instruments. He set up a whole band practice area in their basement, and he and this is a very important part about the Shaggs. He compelled them to practice every single day. It was compulsory. It was forced. They were forced to play every day. It's kind of like the thing I was thinking about while I was kind of researching this is like it's almost like a fucked up, perverse like Jackson Family type deal, right?
Yeah,
it's
dude.
Like, it's like fucking
I was comparing them to the Jackson Family.
It's like the Jackson Family, but with like no talent or no like understanding of music or show business or anything that you need to know to like become popular.
It's the same situation as the Jackson Family if you take any know-how out of the equation.
Right.
It's total ignorance and total no connections, no anything.
Yeah, or drive. That's the other thing is these girls were all forced to do this, and by and large hated doing it. Had no interest in music. Didn't want to play music. They were just forced to do this because
they didn't want to be in a band. They didn't want to be singers.
Yeah, they were forced to do this because their dad was crazy. Frankly, like their dad was kind of a lunatic. And
yeah, man. This whole band and their whole situation, because like I had come across them on Wikipedia before years ago, and kind of just glossed over the description and was like, wow, that's crazy. That's funny. And when the first time that you hear the music, it's like, wow, that's ridiculous. That's funny. And the whole thing, at first it's really funny, but like when you learn about it, it's really sad.
Fucked up. Yeah.
This is a really sad story.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And that's why it's hard for me to,
because dad was crazy, man.
Yeah, it's hard for me to laugh about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like and
it's
I
child
get it.
abuse.
It is. It's literally this album is documented child abuse.
It is.
And there's even allegations that their father did like sexually abuse one of, I think it was Helen.
Oh.
There's even allegations that Helen made
see.
that like years later after their father died that he actually like forced himself on her once or something like that.
Jeez.
So it's
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it's really dark shit. And so not only were they forced to play music, they were homeschooled as well. So they weren't allowed to leave their house. So they lived, their entire world was this insular. It was like their freedom was going upstairs and watching TV and then immediately going back downstairs to the basement and playing music. And then they'd get a break and they'd go to church and then they'd come back from church and they'd go play music. Right.
And the key thing is Austin did not have any musical background whatsoever.
No.
And nor did he know what the first step was in becoming a successful band. So literally all his approach was just telling them,
do it.
Okay, go practice, go become a good band.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, how do we do that? He's like, just
do
it. Just go do it. Just go be a good band.
Right.
You got to practice.
No music
Clearly
lessons.
practice is right. No music lessons. No
music
teachers.
lessons from dad because dad is an idiot and doesn't know how to play music anyway. No music lessons from dad and no music lessons from anyone for that matter. So
I didn't even think about that. Like that seems so obvious. Like get them teachers. But
get
he
a
didn't
teacher.
Do that.
Yeah. So they're in that is maybe the aspect of this music that is probably the most interesting. still doesn't make for like a very listenable experience or good music. It doesn't result in good music necessarily, but it is interesting that it's like you are giving a group of people musical instruments and forbidding them from learning how to play them properly by any outside influence. They're just in a room and it's like become a band without listening to even listening to music either. They weren't allowed to listen to music. It was
it's like kind of like a religious sect kind of a thing, right? Like he was kind of a religious guy who was like pop music is evil, and yet it is our destiny to be pop music stars or whatever.
Yeah, so they were really like kind of fundy Christian types. I don't even know exactly what they were, but they were just very, very religious, like button down kind of family. But yeah, I mean that might be the one thing that is sort of interesting about this is to hear a band play music together and none of them have listened to music before.
It's from isolation. Yes.
Yeah. It's like putting a brain in a jar and like somehow being able to document like what it's thinking, you know? It's like, whoa, like what is that? What could a brain in a jar like paint, you know what I mean? Or imagine like
and touching it on the funny and sad thing was like the first time I was reading their Wikipedia article, it's just like, oh, Austin made them do this, Austin made them do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a line, just a sentence in there that made me laugh out loud when I first read it, which is, the Shags disbanded in 1975 after Austin's death.
Yeah.
So like, just picture them like, oh, Dad died? Okay, well, that's the end of that.
Yeah.
And which is really sad when you know it, but before I knew the whole story, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. And it's wild because like, you would think then, like when you listen to this record, that they were all like, you know, they sound really young. Like they sound like 14, 15, 16. They were all in their 20s.
But they're not. Right. So yeah. It was the mid 60s when he started the project. And so, yeah, they were, you know, teenagers. I think the youngest one was like 13 or 14, something like that. But when they recorded this, when we're hearing this recording, the youngest one is 18.
Yeah.
And the oldest one is 24, I think.
Yeah.
23 or 24.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, their voices, they sound like children. They sing, who are parents.
Yeah. Who are parents. They have that.
Parents.
They have that toddler voice, kind of almost like that. The way Todd was speak like this. They kind of have that.
It's twee. So that's one of the things that they're credited with, kind of being the progenitor of.
Oh God!
Right? It is what's called twee pop.
Yeah.
You know, like a widow voice with a ukulele. Oh, woo, 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 woo. You know, a lot of people like that shit, man.
Okay, interesting.
It's a big thing, and what's crazy to me is like so many. So there's a thing called cursive singing.
Oh yeah.
Also.
Okay.
Have you heard about that?
We talked about this on the Beach House episode.
Yes.
That you were afraid Victoria Legrand was going to do a cursive singing thing, because that was a popular thing in the
2010s especially.
Yeah.
But the Shags are considered to be kind of a progenitor, like a proto twee pop, proto cursive singing thing. Something that would become popular in the 2010s, which this is 69, so that's like fucking like 40, 50 years later. And they also have that like, you can hear that they have some sort of accent in there as well. It's like
where are they? They're New Hampshire, I believe, right?
Yeah, New Hampshire or Vermont. So it's sort of like a JFK, like a New England, who are parents, you know, kind of friggin' Peter Griffin type thing, maybe, you know. And another Wikipedia quote that it said, which is important to understand about them. They were unaware that their music was unusual and did not understand the critical discourse it attracted.
Interesting.
So,
but here's the thing. They were also forced to like play shows,
to perform every week.
Every week.
Every week they played a gig in front of other kids their age.
Yeah.
and everybody laughed at them. Like everybody hated their music, and
so they had to
didn't-
know to some extent that, like, I think maybe they just thought they were bad. Like maybe they were a bad band or something. I don't think they understood that it was like, no, your music is like discordant.
So they this takes me into my first topic of things that are really interesting and worthwhile that can be learned from this.
Okay.
Which is that although the Shags practiced and practiced and practiced and had repetition after repetition after repetition, you can see from their story that their outlook, their perspective, their understanding of what they were doing did not advance.
Yeah.
It didn't grow, right?
Yeah.
They stayed the same level of poor ability as time went on. And they didn't gain a new appreciation for what good music would sound like, and you know, to have like the self-awareness to be able to measure their own sound and their own abilities in comparison to that. They didn't gain any of that perspective
Yeah.
as time went on. And so this is like a really, really important thing for young musicians or new musicians and producers to understand, which is that whole classical thing of the 10,000 hours theory of mastering something is incomplete.
Yeah.
It takes more than time. It takes more than repetitions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, time and repetitions is necessary. Okay. You won't get good at your instrument if you don't spend time playing it.
Yeah.
And you won't get good at playing shows if you don't play a lot of shows. You have to. But it's not the complete picture of what it takes. And you can tell that because of the Shags.
It's like it's like going to the gym and doing one exercise with the wrong form like a billion times. And it's like all you're really going to do is hurt yourself. You're actually not going to like build muscle in the way you're probably trying to. You're probably just going to injure yourself.
Or if you were to go up to the machine and, you know, you're supposed to like put the pin in to like load some weights on before you start pulling on the thing. Imagine if you went up there and you never put the pin in and you just kept pulling and there's never any weights on it. And you just sit there every day. You go to the gym and you pull it and there's no weights, and you're like, what's going on? What's happening?
Why no progression?
How come I'm not developing any muscle here?
Yeah.
Right? It's the quality of your practice matters.
Which comes from instruction. You need to be, somebody needs to show you how to do
instruction. Exactly. It requires input from outside of yourself, from an ability that is higher than yourself. And which, you know, one of the things that I learned early on when I was a musician, it was one of the most important things that I ever learned, which is the best way to get better at music is to play with people who are better than you.
Yep.
That's how you get better. I see a lot of beginner musicians never leave their bedroom, only ever play by themselves. And if you never take a step beyond that, you're going to end up like the Shags, you know, and a lot of people end up thinking, oh, well, I just don't have a musical bone in my body. I just don't have the talent because I've played for 3 years and I still suck. But
that might be true. That might be true.
But here's the thing: is you can. Did you listen to their second album, Shag's Own Thing?
I did. I didn't want to contradict you here because I do think there is. If you listen to Shag's Own Thing, there is
something happened.
A little bit of progression there.
There's a lot of progression.
Yeah.
The very first song. Oh, you're something special to me. 2, 3, 4. They're all playing in time.
They are playing in time. That's the biggest thing. Is the biggest change on that one is they play in time and they tune their instruments.
Yes, and so something happened.
Yeah,
but that was recorded like 6 years later.
Yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, they had gotten more exposure to other people.
Right,
other people were involved.
Right,
because when they recorded Philosophy of the World, this is the first time that they'd ever been in a recording studio. After this point, there were like music producers and like other people involved in the project and involved in their life who were giving input,
mm-hmm.
you know, engineers and producers and stuff. So as soon as they get that, their abilities change.
Right.
Before Philosophy of the World, all they had was each other in the room.
And their dad,
The
who's
dad who
idiot.
by all accounts, offered nothing, literally nothing in terms of guidance, in terms of the playing.
But you know what's still there though in the Shag's, what is his Shag's Own song or Shag's
Own thing?
Shag's Own thing.
Is the second one.
The thing that's still there is like the inability to craft like a competent melody that like fits in like a normal like scale or like song, like the song form is still fucked up.
You're something special to me.
I mean, I guess it is. It's like, I guess it's just very
catchy as fuck to me.
I guess it's just very like elementary, like literally. It's like
right,
like
yeah,
childlike.
It's not. The best you could rate it is like it's fine. It's good.
But
that melody, yeah,
they
good
went
melody.
They went
Okay.
from.
There's nothing impressive about it.
If the best you could say is that it's not that impressive and it's pretty childlike, they went to that from on this. It is literally like I don't think you can call these melodies like.
There's only yeah. I mean, I'll share my thoughts more about it, but basically, bottom line is there's like one or two examples
Of a melody?
of a clearly recognizable and like competently composed melody.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about that's like 2% of
Yeah.
what's happening on Philosophy of the World, and the rest, is just meandering, ungrabbable, unfollowable melodies. Yeah.
So in the 2010s, Dot Wiggin put together. There's all this ironic reinterest in the Shags, right? So Dot Wiggin was approached by a group of like super fan musicians who actually like learned this shit like verbatim, note for note. And they started performing Shags stuff as the Dot Wiggin band with Dot Wiggin. And one of the singers, there's like a female, I think she's a singer, or maybe she's a bass player in that band. She pointed out that the hardest part about learning the songs, the melodies in these songs, is that every syllable in every word is a different note. So it's like
right.
we da 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 da, and it's like that's not a melody. That's not a melody.
Relax. Calm
Yeah.
down. Yeah. Hang out on the same note once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that the main like lesson to be taken from that is that like I think a lot of beginner musicians feel like first I got to get good, then I can go play with people. Then I
Right.
can go jam with people, play in a band with someone, get in someone else's garage and start collaborating with someone. But first I got to get good. And brother, no. It's the other way around.
Yeah. First, you got to get your butt kicked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Start collaborating before you get good,
Yeah.
because if you never collaborate, you will never get good. You will become the Shags, and realistically, you will quit. You'll quit playing music, and you'll believe that you don't have it in you.
Because like,
And that's not true.
What's the first thing you do when you? Because like, okay, if you're a musician and you hook up with 2-3 other musicians and you guys start jamming or whatever, inevitably. The dynamics in the situation is not going to be like the Shags, because the Shags, everyone's on this base level playing
Right.
field of like
None of
zero
them-
knowledge.
Exactly.
Right?
They all started from zero, and
If
they all
you-
stayed together at zero.
Yeah. If you collaborate with other people in the real world, in a real social environment, inevitably there's going to be like a hierarchy of like who's good, who's not. And what's the first thing you do? You guys get together and you go, let's learn something.
Yeah.
Let's learn together how to play something, and I'll
Yeah.
go practice this and get good at it. So next time we play together, we can all learn this together and like play Led Zeppelin together or something. You know what I mean?
And they show stuff to you. Like if you
Yeah.
go and you start and you're having a jam with someone who has a better sense of rhythm than you,
Mm-hmm.
and someone who can play in tune better than you can, and all that stuff, that's good news for you, man. Like
Or they'll just say,
do
tune your
your
fucking
best.
guitar.
Yeah,
Tune your fucking guitar.
exactly. So it raises your bar,
Yeah.
and you get a new target. You see how it's done, and you start to like drift toward that target. And before you know it, you have a sense of rhythm that is comparable to that person, and you have a sense of in tuneness that's comparable with that person. And then you move on, play with someone else who's better than you.
As opposed to this, which like by all accounts, they approached playing music like it was like it was one of their chores, like a chore they had to do around the house, because it was.
Yes.
It was like a chore. It was like take out the trash, mow the lawn, play guitar in a band with your sisters.
Yes.
Go study the Bible, do calisthenics. He also forced them to do
Calisthenics. That's the other thing.
Whatever. But like that's what this sounds like. The way that they're all just lazily playing the drums, out of time with each other, not paying attention, whatever.
That's right.
Disinterested, like probably disassociating on some degree.
Taking out the trash and mowing the lawn. When you were a kid, how good did you get at mowing the lawn?
Yeah.
How much of like expertise did you develop at taking out the trash?
How motivated were you?
Yeah. Or was it exactly the same every time your entire childhood? Because you fucking hate it, because you're avoiding it. And that's another thing about learning and about the 10,000 hours theory that is incomplete, is one of the necessary components for improving at your instrument is the intention to improve at your instrument.
Right.
Right?
You want to get better.
Exactly.
And these girls had no interest in that.
When you were learning to balance on a bike, like trying on the training wheels to learn to ride on two wheels on a bike, and then, during that time before you could do it, and you try and you fall, and you try and you fall, you weren't just getting on the bike and planning on falling every time. Every time you were trying to do it to succeed, and then you fell, right? But that's the only reason why you were able to succeed, is because each time you were trying to actually get it right. These girls, they had no intention. They did not want or have any interest in being better than they were. Like,
how could you?
All you got to do is get to the end of it. Like one of the quotes from this shit is so sad, man.
It is.
One of the quotes is that like they would like look forward to being to bedtime.
Yeah.
To, like, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because it was the only break that they had from
the bullshit. The
bullshit
of
like
do.
Be in a band.
Yeah.
Be in a band.
Yeah. I mean, and like how much motivation?
Be a famous band.
How much motivation did you ever have when something was completely imposed on you by your parents? Right? Like
none.
It's almost, again,
and I never got good at any of those things.
No, I compare it to like the Tiger Mom thing, or like, again, like the Jacksons, where it's like, those are kind of unique, exceptional circumstances, I feel like, where it's like, again, these
instruction was in
there.
for
instruction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the Tiger Moms do produce little
exceptional children,
tiny children who can play Mozart. That actually does happen. And Joseph Jackson, what was the Jacksons?
I think he's Joe Jackson. I think
Joe
so.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Right. He did end up putting out this little band of children who were
geniuses,
fantastic musicians.
Yeah.
It worked, but it's because they got the instruction.
Yeah.
Right. And those kids involved, whether it's healthy or not, they did intend on becoming really good at doing it.
They wanted it to a certain degree.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, it might have been to avoid punishment. It might have been to just please the parents. And, maybe it was for their own, I hope that all the children of these Tiger Moms, they do like want it honestly for themselves. But whether they do or they don't, they do intend on getting good. And the Wiggins sisters did not. I
think, Michael, the difference is like the Jacksons, they found like a refuge in music, and it was and I think it was very freeing for them to explore their talent and like how good and amazing it feels to be that good at music. I mean, I could only hope to ever know how that feels. But like,
They loved singing. They loved singing together.
yeah,
They loved each other.
right. Whereas this is the opposite. They weren't good and they didn't try to be good and they didn't look forward to playing together and they hated playing shows and they hated recording the record. And it was all a big fucking torment, right?
They looked forward to as soon as we can stop playing and get back to being kids. Like just do something else, anything else other than this damn guitar, these damn drums.
The thing is though about all this, the weirdest thing, again, going back to the one of the things I love about this is they are a famous band.
Right.
It did happen.
The prophecy came true. They became a famous band.
Not at all how his dad was imagining. Like, this is really some dark magic shit going on. Like, his mom really was some kind of witchy woman, because it's like, it feels so Grimm's fairy tale for her to be like, ooh, you'll marry a strawberry blonde and you'll have two sons after I die. And then your daughters will be super famous. And it's like, oh, that's amazing. But for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, like a monkey's paw
It
thing.
is a monkey's paw. It's
like
a
a
total
Twilight
monkey's paw.
Zone thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a total Twilight Zone episode. It's
It
like
is.
your
It
daughters are
totally
going to be
is.
world famous, literally world famous. One of the most famous albums ever released.
And he would sign that deal with the devil, but like any devil's deal, it's like, but not in a good way.
Not in a good way. Yeah.
Wow.
And probably one of my favorite aspects of the legend of the Shags is that, so he died in 1975 of a heart attack. They immediately all disbanded, all married off, and just
got on with their life that they wanted to do the entire time.
Which they wanted to do. They all wanted to just be like secretaries, whatever, just like live normal lives, get married, settle down, have kids. We shouldn't know who these people are. Like, we shouldn't know who Dot Wiggin and Helen Wiggin are, frankly. But like,
they just wanted to live in peace and just be regular people.
Yeah. So he dies. They sold their house. The family sold their house where they had all these band practices, right? And the owner who bought the house from the Wiggin family claimed that the house was haunted by Austin Wiggin Jr. And so the new owner donated the property to the fire department to use as like
donated. Hey, you want my house?
To use as like a practice, to like a, they burn the house down on purpose so that the fire department can put it out for practice or whatever.
Freaking boomers, man. We
Crazy.
can't buy a damn house and they're just donating theirs to be burned down. Hey, you want to burn this down?
Take this one. This one's haunted, I think. I bought this for $40. 1975.
Production.
Yeah. Let's talk about, as much as we can, the album recording process, the production, the musicianship on the record, the songwriting.
Yes.
We kind of dipped into the melody stuff a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper specifically on the music. Fuck all the legend stuff. Let's talk about philosophy.
What's on philosophy of the world.
Yeah.
So I said at the beginning that I think that there's a lot that musicians and producers can learn about music itself from listening to this. And it's not just that all that shit I was talking about before about, how to get good and how to get better and shit. But specifically, this album shows a lot about what makes music work, what makes it good, what makes music music. And what are the things that, if it's missing or if it's not tight, makes music sound bad? And so this album is famous for having basically everything that can be wrong with it is wrong with it, right? The guitars are out of tune.
Yep.
The drums aren't even tuned.
That's true.
That's
true.
If you didn't know, drums need to be tuned. They can be tuned, and they should be tuned, actually. But out of all the elements this album is such a good demonstration that the one element that truly makes the Shags worse than other music is the rhythm.
Yes, I agree with you.
It is the rhythm.
It is. They're all playing out of time with each other.
Exactly.
And it's awful.
So I remember, did I ever tell you about the demonstration to prove this point that Wallace gave to us in high school one day? Okay, I'm going to show you this.
Okay.
So Brian Wallace,
Dub Robot.
Dub Robot. If you fans of Black Market Dub will know him. Friend of the show. He was our music teacher.
Yes.
In high school. This is how we got to know him. But
honestly, Brian probably loves this album.
He probably does. This is a very him album.
He probably loves this shit.
But he came into class one day and he was like, all right, what makes music music as opposed to a sound?
Sure.
As opposed to a noise. He's like, a door closing. Is that music? And we're like, no. He's like, that's correct. It's not. However, it is a sound, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're like, yes. He's like, so well, what's the difference? What does music have that other sounds don't? And we're like, okay, a melody. He's like, yep. And he wrote it on the board. Like even harmony, right? Two melodies together, they go well. More than one note happening at once. He wrote that down, harmony. Dynamics, getting louder and getting softer. He wrote that down. Rhythm, and he wrote that down, right? And so we had like a list of like 12 different things. He's like, I'm going to tell you something. There's only one of these on this list that if you were to take it away, it's not music anymore.
Right.
So he sat down at a Rhodes piano and he played. It's like, okay, that's music? And we're like, yes. And he's like, okay, so that has no harmony. So we can take that one out. It's still music. He's like, now I'm going to play it without any melody. And he's like, is that still music? And we're like, yeah, I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's right.
It is.
Like, now I'm going to play that without rhythm. Is that music? Or is that a sound?
It's a sound.
It's a sound.
It's true. It's the sound. It's the sound of a note on guitar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rhythm is the fundamental aspect of music. That is what makes it music.
Right.
So, how much music is out there where the guitars are out of tune?
Probably more than you'd like.
More than you would think.
Yeah. More than anyone would like.
And some of it is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Some of it is really good music and amazing records that people love. How much music is out there where like let's look at the other things that the Shags have going on. Where like the vocal timbre, the sound of the singer's voice, the quality of their voice is not really that good. There's a lot of it.
Tons that I love.
Right. And a lot of it is really good.
Yeah.
How much of it is out there where like the songwriting is not very imaginative or not very complex or
plenty
or where the lyrics are not that good or not that creative.
Or maybe where like they eschew melody entirely and it's like some atonal craziness like Ornette Coleman or something,
Right. There's a lot of it and a lot of it is really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, how many albums are out there where the people playing are not even in time with each other, where there is no cohesion of rhythm? Now, that is hard to find. There are very few. There are almost no examples of that.
Yeah.
One of the other most famous examples is Trout Mask Replica.
Right.
However, that is intentionally structured to have irregular time.
Right. Like there is a internal logic to that that this does not have.
And that's why I'm saying pretty much everything about their musicianship is really forgivable.
Yeah.
And truth be told is not actually that bad.
Yeah. There's like potential there.
Right. But on this album, the rhythm is what kills it. That is the thing that makes this, when you listen to it, go like, holy shit, that's terrible.
Yeah. Like, I think if this was more like Shag's own thing and they were at least playing together, like
in time
together,
they can still be out of tune.
Yeah.
Which they are.
I
But
think
they're in time, and it sounds a million times better.
I actually
Yes.
think this album would be way more interesting. It would be the interesting, like, forgotten, lost, weirdo album that, like, I think a lot of modern critics kind of pretend that it is. Like, I hate to say this, but that's kind of one of the things that really bugs me about the Dot Wiggin band. And I'm not trying to, like, you know, attack these people or anything like that, but, like, I only bring them up like because I think that they're like a very common type of fan of this music nowadays. They're kind of fans of the weirdness of it. They're fans of how quirky it is. They're fans of the notoriety.
They're fans of the vibe of it.
Yeah.
They like the vibe.
Sure. And I think they're fans of the notoriety, right? They like that it's kind of notorious for being bad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's almost like it's really hard. I've been trying to think of a way to put my finger on like how I feel about actual fans of this music. People who are like forgiving of the musicianship on this and like love it and like go out of their way to like the
no,
fact,
it's actually genius. It's actually great.
To the point where they learn it. Like the Dot Wiggin band learned this stuff and play it note for note. And I'm like, you're missing the entire point.
Right. They're treating it like it was intentional. That playing it this way, as it is on the record, was intentional.
If there is anything good to take away from this music, and if there's anything to like about this, sure, you can like it. But the very nature of like learning it note for note and reproducing it live, like I've seen some of the videos of it, it's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch.
It's those are cringy in a way that the original is not. Cringy.
Is not. Yeah.
Yes.
The original is like fascinating. Like there is footage of the 70s shows where the Shags were playing shows.
Oh,
you can't. There's no audio. It's just video, but they'll sync the audio up with like their actual recording. It's like same difference. It just sounds and looks like shit. And you're watching it and you're just like, there is some kind of weird science experiment happening here that they're not even aware of, right? It's like I get to observe. I'm like an alien observing like these weird test subjects like playing a atonal, bizarre, psychotic show for all these people. Whereas like then I watch the Dot Wiggin band cover this stuff and it is perfect renditions of the stuff on the original album.
It's coming at it from a place of accuracy and expertise.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, no, the thing that's interesting, to the extent that there's anything interesting, it's that it was accidental. And even that's not even that good or interesting about it.
Once you are a musician who does have the sense of time and the sense of rhythm ingrained in you, you are now pretty much rendered incapable of playing Philosophy of the World the way that they played it.
Right.
You can't, once you get that rhythm in your bones, you can't play it like this anymore.
Right.
And that's what is really interesting about this album is like you have to be them to even be capable of doing it. How could you replicate? It's unreplicatable.
It's unreplicatable, and why would you and how could you do that? Right? It's like
how could you?
Well, it's just weird. I don't know. It's like trying to paint a Jackson Pollock. It's like if I started painting and was like, this is a Jackson Pollock now. You know, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like I could get really close and I could, you might not even know the difference if you hold them side by side. But why the fuck would you do that? Who would do that?
The Shags show us that rhythm is not innate in people. You have to learn it. And I know, before you say it, listener, I know that it seems like there are people who are born with rhythm.
Sure.
But that's an illusion. They just learned it earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Some people just learn it when they're tiny, tiny children.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, you know, I started as a musician playing guitar and bass, you know, in my room by myself when I was 12, 13. And then the first times I remember learning to play along with a drummer. that just feeling like a newborn baby deer trying to learn how to stay on my feet, you know, like it takes years to get it ingrained, and it
Right.
takes years to get it natural.
Yep.
And even the Shags eventually got it. Like
Yeah.
when you like, you're something special to me, 2, 3, 4. The Helen is finally playing on the B, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You know, they got it eventually.
Right.
But during the period of time when they recorded Philosophy of the World, they don't have it yet.
Yeah.
And I'm really convinced that Helen, the drummer, she's just noodling the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
I'm really convinced that Betty and Dot, the two ones who are singing and playing guitar, when they say, okay, we're gonna play this next one, that Betty and Dot like are recalling the song from memory. They
Yeah.
know it.
Mm-hmm.
But Helen, I don't think that she goes, oh, my pal Foot. Okay, I remember how this one starts, and I'm gonna. No, she's just fucking smacking drums and just like following along with what her sisters are doing.
She does have patterns that she does. And some people compare,
Yeah.
I saw some people online,
The rolls.
they compare them to like paradiddles.
Yeah, the
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
the first thing you learn when you have a drum, right? Is you do like a paradiddle. It's just like a drum exercise, like a rhythm exercise that you do.
Okay.
So like a lot of her drumming is essentially like little paradiddle type things. I will say
like learning exercises.
learning exercises, yeah.
Okay.
And it's like what she'll do is like, okay, when this lyric happens, I play this kind of set of noodles. And then when this set of lyrics happens, I play this other set of noodles. Because she does change. Like, she changes when they change. But it's like
Sometimes
not in
like
time.
it takes a couple seconds for her to change until after they've started singing the chorus. Like, oh shit, I'm supposed to go to the cymbal now. Halfway through. And she does stop in the Halloween song. She does stop when it's like, "Kuh."
Even Dracula will be there.
I think it's a combination of the baby Dale and that like New England JFK thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There.
Yeah. It's
Even
true.
Dracula will be there.
Even
you know,
Dracula. Yeah. So it's like
So weird.
it's weird because I agree with you. Helen is mostly just fucking around, right? But it's like she's fucking
Okay,
around.
there's little cues.
There's little
that she
cues.
does have. Okay.
Yeah, she's fucking around in a certain way during this part, and then she's fucking around, and then they'll change kind of at the same time, but it's not in time. Right?
No,
It's
not
not in time.
That's right.
It happens at the same time, but it's not in musical time.
And I think we're being too hard and making it sound like we're singling out Helen as being the only one who doesn't possess the capability of playing in time. All three of them don't have this.
They don't. Yeah, they don't hear it. You can hear they can't find it. Like
So Betty and Dot are synchronized vocally,
right.
rhythmically.
Right.
They're generally singing the same syllables at the same time.
Yes. One of them, it sounds like, is playing chords, and
Yes.
one of them, it sounds like doubles the melody the whole
Yes.
time. It's like
Dot-
ding, 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 ding,
Dot
ding.
plays the same vocal melody as what they're singing on her guitar, and Betty is strumming chords.
Strumming chords.
But what their yardstick for when to play the notes and when to sing the notes and when to move on to the next notes is not regularly
Dude, I tried to
happening
count it.
time.
Have you tried to count it? I tried to count. I tried to count a phrase today, and I got to like 13, and I was like, never mind.
No, because they're not counting or feeling beats.
No.
They don't
Yeah.
have that rhythmic
Yeah.
sensation in their bones where they follow the notes like they do later. Yeah, something special to me too. It's steady. But on this one, you sing the line, strum, 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 sing the line, strum, strum, strum. Okay, next line, sing the line.
It's almost like who are parents? Na 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 na. Okay, you ready for the next line? Na na na. Who are parents? Na 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 na. And then it's almost like you can see them like check in with each other. Like, okay, ready?
Like they're looking at each other, yeah. And it's important to understand too about the recording of this album that these recordings of these songs that we're hearing are in most cases the one and only take
Yeah.
of the song that they did.
Yeah. Did you read anything about the engineer who recorded this?
Yes.
He basically begged them. He begged their dad. He was like, "Don't do this to these girls. Like, don't make them
practice
go home
more,
and practice.
Come
like,
back later.
Yeah, don't waste
when
your
they're
money.
better."
Don't waste your money. He was literally trying to refuse their money. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I can't do it. Like the engineers were all laughing. Like at, at them.
Right.
They had to leave the room.
Yeah, I heard the story of them leaving the room and going and just like falling on the floor laughing with the other employees in the recording studio.
I would be.
They just couldn't believe it. I know.
I would be. Absolutely.
Can you imagine?
But the funny thing is back then though, it's like there used to be like guardrails. There used to be gatekeepers, right? Where you had to be Janis Joplin for us to open the door to you, right? And you know, it seems like Austin found kind of like a local kind of smaller studio or something and got them in there for a day. I think it was like $1,000 or something maybe. And it's like
$1,000 in 1969.
Still a lot of money.
How much money is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I feel is why he was, the engineer is trying to be like, dude, don't spend this money right now.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah.
Come back, get better, come back. And what Austin said was I want to get them while they're hot.
Yeah, I saw
to
that
quote the alleged quote.
Yeah. Which like whatever that means. What the fuck? While they're hot. Like they're
Yeah, I think that was Austin, and I base this on absolutely nothing, but
Yeah.
I think that was Austin's like rationalization in his mind, because it wasn't I want to get them while they're at their peak or while they're coming up or while they're hot. I think he wanted to get them before I lose them.
Yeah.
Because they were 18
Yep.
and 20 and 23 years old, I think. And I
Yeah.
think in his mind, he's like, these girls are about to fly the coop.
Yeah.
This is my last chance to try to
Pin this down.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's interesting, and you're probably right. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how much you want to go into like the sound of the record. There's not much to say about it. It sounds like shit.
I think they just went one. Just the one. Yeah, it sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I think one of the last, or the last thing on the production of it that I have is the lyrics.
Sure. The lyrics are another reflection
think?
of like the weird, kept, like homeschooled, kind of isolated, like weirdness, culty weirdness of this album.
Yep.
It's girls trying to grow up in a room full of mirrors, right? And it's like the only person I can reflect my growing hormonal young girlness to is like myself. And it becomes like this prism that just starts eating itself. And it's like this weird, or my dad or my mom or my other sisters. It's this really unhealthy, childlike.
Kind of like how when we were talking about David Allan Coe and him going through puberty in jail and prison.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Unhealthy, childlike rationale through every song.
Yeah. So this was the point at which I got reminded and made the connection to the Jackson 5 and to Michael Jackson. Because, okay, in particular on Philosophy of the World, the two songs, Sweet Thing and What Should I Do, are, like relationship songs.
Right.
So some of the lyrics, let's see, in Sweet Thing, you're such a sweet thing, sweet thing, sweet thing, but you can be so mean. You're such a sweet thing, you used to make me dream. But then there's times where you are very different. I just don't understand how a minute you can be so mean, the next minute so grand. Okay. And I'm listening to these lyrics and I'm thinking like, this is written by a girl who has never dated a boy before.
Yeah.
Because she's not allowed. Her father keeps her. She's like Rapunzel. You know?
Yeah.
In What Should I Do? Tell me, what should I do? He's a sad boy, he's a bad boy. He never gives me any joy. Tell me, what should I do? He's a two-face, he's a disgrace. He never wins a race. Tell me, what should I do? And it reminded me of this story that Quincy Jones told about Michael Jackson when they were recording Off the Wall. He was like 17 years old or something like that. And Quincy Jones told this story about when Michael was in the vocal booth recording She's Out of My Life, that song, that like Michael would be crying tears in between takes because of the sadness of the lyrics, but the sadness of breaking up. Like he was so in touch with the singing about a breakup.
Right.
And he was crying. And Quincy was like flabbergasted by this because Michael Jackson had never had a girlfriend before. He had never experienced a breakup.
Right.
And so this is like some like bizarro version of that same sort of thing. It's like,
yeah.
And what's also interesting is by all accounts, Austin, the dad, didn't influence their songwriting. He didn't tell them what to write songs about or anything. Like, I guess Dot just came up with this, you know?
It sounded like he sounded like,
or did he?
He gave really like vague instructions. Like he would instruct them like, no, it's not right yet. And yes, it is. Like the way the songs are performed on Philosophy of the World, those were like performed, up to like his standards. Like he knew that that's how they went.
Okay. So he would just give them hot or cold.
Like
thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Is the only feedback that, God, what a nightmare. Can you imagine? Jesus Christ.
He also like didn't hear or see or understand anything wrong with the music. Like he was like, oh yeah, you guys nailed it that time.
I cannot believe they're just people out there just treating children this way, man. This is insane.
It is insane.
Fucked up, dude.
It is fucked up and insane.
Also, some of the lyrics I feel are kind of fucking stupid also.
Oh, sure.
Like, okay, but so sometimes they are brilliant, like in the, wisdom from the mouths of babes type of way, like I feel that like the lyrics in Philosophy of the World are kind of like, damn, that's in a roundabout way kind of fucking brilliant.
I agree.
But some of them are so dumb. Like
imagine if someone like read your journal when you were 15. It's like how dumb that is. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I would be mortified.
This is mainly on my first listen through when I was taking these notes. Like I said, my appreciation for this definitely grew as time went on. But my first impression was like, okay, I get it. This is stupid.
Yeah.
But like there's the song, Why Do I Feel? And the lyrics go, there are times when I feel sad. There are times when I feel blue. What makes me feel this way the most is when I don't know why I do the things I do. And I'm like, okay, fine. You don't know why you feel the way that you feel. I guess that's kind of an interesting thought. Then the last song, We Have a Savior. Why do the people go on sinning? Why do they feel sad and blue? Don't they know we have a savior just watching over me and you? And at that point, I'm like, well, which one is it? Is this a mystery or not? Right. Why we feel the feelings? Like, are you either pondering why we feel it, or are you resolved in that there is an understanding of why we feel what we feel? Like, which one is it?
Yeah.
There's no thematic fucking consistency or cohesion in this, man.
Well, no, because it's like they're performing for like a mad king, right? Like it's like, hey, we wrote this song about Jesus, Dad, and he's like, good, but he's an idiot, so it's like that's enough. Like that's enough. That's all he
Austin
needed.
Sounds really dumb.
Yeah, he sounds like a fucking moron. Like,
this is the same reason why I hate the movie Avatar. By the way. Avatar is about as good as Philosophy of the World
I'm
is.
I'm going to cut this out. I'm serious.
Fucking thematically. Because it doesn't understand its own themes.
We're moving on.
Okay? The Na'vi are supposed to exist in opposition to the Earthlings as that they don't respect nature. Oh, the Na'vi respect nature. But then when you put your tail up against the pterodactyl's tail, all that they do is they just enslave the pterodactyl. they just mentally dominate the pterodactyl into fucking flying where it wants to fly. It's thematically makes
All right.
no fucking sense, dude.
Okay.
Like, which one is it?
We're moving on.
Do you live in accordance with nature, or do you
moving on.
enslave nature?
We're
Which one
moving
is
on.
it?
It's in harmony with nature.
I fucking hate Avatar.
They're in
so
harmony
much.
together, something the Shags don't have. Okay.
Moving on. Stand out songs. You like that, don't you? And that's not even my hot take. for
Don't
the
ever
episode.
bring up Avatar on the show ever again.
Dude, Avatar fucking
Shut up.
sucks.
Okay. Shut up.
All right.
What? is-
Standout songs.
I want to hear your standout songs.
Mine. Okay. My first one is Philosophy of the World.
Okay.
I almost picked Philosophy of the World as my favorite.
Okay.
It's very close. In Nate terms of, you know, the great first songs on a record, I think whoever made the decision to put Philosophy of the World first made a
Agreed.
good choice.
Agree.
I think this is the best one that you could have led this off with.
Yeah.
I think it has the best lyrics.
Yeah, I do too.
Let's look at some of
Possibly the
the
only good lyrics.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. This is the only song where, the rich people want what the poor people's got, and the poor people want what the rich people's got. and the
Kind of
skinny
profound.
People want, yeah, and it's great how she sings it in the same cadence.
Mhm.
Like, it's not the rich people want what the poor people's got, and the poor people want what the rich people's got. She doesn't like
No.
point out that it's continuous. It keeps rolling forward,
Uh-huh.
which helps the theme of the chorus. You can never please anybody in this world, and like it supports the endlessness and the solutionlessness of the situation. You know, it's actually a fucking brilliant song if you you know if
I know.
you take away
I know.
all of the issues with the rhythm and the musicality and the performance on the guitars and everything. Like,
Even this one,
just-
it has the only rhythm I can kind of remember because it's like, you can never please anybody in this world. Like, I remember that.
yeah.
And it's at the end of the chorus. I remember that. Like, I can't say that about kind of any other song on this.
I love too how after it starts out heavy.
Yeah.
The rich people and the poor people. The skinny people want the fat people's got. Then the fat people want the skinny people's got. Short
Yeah.
people and the tall people.
Yep.
And the kids, little kids and big kids.
Yep.
And then I love how like it doesn't go deeper, it gets shallower.
Yeah.
The girls with short hair want long hair, Nate.
Yep. And the girls with long hair want short hair.
And the boys with cars want motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the boys with motorcycles want cars.
Yeah,
No,
you can
it-
hear they
yeah.
ran. It's a good allegory for the record as a whole. It's like, oh, it's like the worst album ever, but it's actually brilliant if you really listen to it, dude. And it's like, okay, by
It's
verse,
true about this, but that's it.
well, not even.
Oh,
You
sorry,
can't even
you
fully
were gonna
say because you scratch the surface of this song. You get into verse 3, and it's actually terrible. It undermines the whole. It undermines the whole theme of the song by being ass, by sucking.
Yeah, man. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter who you see. There will always be someone who disagrees. We do our best. We try to please, but we're like the rest. We're never at ease. These are good lyrics.
It's good.
I'm sorry.
It's good.
But yeah, thematically it falls apart.
Yeah.
Anything else on that song? I'm just gonna be blowing through my
That's
standouts
okay.
and favorite best
That's
because
all
of how little I have to say about them because this
okay.
album is terrible. My other standout is My Pal Foot Foot.
Okay.
I really like, so my first few listen throughs, maybe first two listen throughs, I didn't understand that Foot Foot is a cat.
Was there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen
And-
the little foot drawing?
Yes.
Really disturbing and weird.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think Foot Foot is a adorable name for a cat.
Okay.
I
I think so too, until you pair it with the drawings they make, and then I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of choosing to disregard the drawings. I'm just picturing a cat.
Yeah. Foot.
So I think that Helen does her best work in My Pal Foot.
I think you're wrong. Actually, I think you're wrong about that.
Okay,
But
there's
continue.
another.
I think there's better Helen performance.
Okay, the outro. I love how My Pal Foot. The song just ends, and almost all the songs they end, and you can tell that Betty and Dot know that it's over. They
Right.
stop playing,
Yeah.
and then it takes Helen a few seconds to realize that it's over, and then she just stops playing.
Yeah.
But My Pal Foot has that fucking wicked drum outro.
It does.
Where she comes in with the she sounds like she's starting to play like the Moby Dick like drum solo, you know, like it's like she's starting some John Bonham drum solo, and it's starting and then it just ends. She just stops playing. Just ends.
Yeah.
It's very endearing. It's a very Helen moment, and I think that's where she shines, and that's her best little spot.
I love that we're going to disagree about this.
Oh, okay, and that's it. That's really all
Okay.
that I have. I do have. I've never done this for any of our albums that we've done so far, but I did start a different list of I call particularly bad.
Oh, I already have. Those are just in my standouts.
Oh, so you chose standout suck.
Well, I have some that
Negative
I think
standout.
I have a negative standout for sure.
Okay. I put 2 on mine. There
Okay.
could be more. I honestly started the list and I put 2 on and then I just stopped
Yeah.
caring and I just gave up and I
Yeah.
just didn't write any more down. But I wrote that little sports car
Yeah, I don't.
and My Companion.
Yeah, okay. All right.
They're
I have
just
to kind
dumb.
of disagree with you on My Companion.
You like My Companion?
I don't
Okay.
like My Companion, but
Okay.
My Companion, if you read the lyrics, the whole thing is like, my companion goes with me everywhere. My companion is my best friend. My companion is this. My companion is that. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, okay, she's talking about Jesus or something, or maybe her dad or her sister or something. And then the very last 2 words in the song, my companion is this, my companion is that, my radio.
Okay, I couldn't understand what she was saying because I thought she was going to say and it leads you to think it because the second to last line, my companion is, of course, here comes the reveal. I thought she was going to say my shadow.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's a song about my shadow, my companion. Like, okay. But yeah, my radio. What?
Like I'm thinking that
What?
if you had said if
Your
it had
radio?
been my shadow, that actually would be like, it's still stupid, but at least makes sense. My
Right, yeah.
radio,
It's like a 7-year-old level of poetry. You
yeah,
know? Like,
but
yeah.
my radio being my constant companion,
It's terrible.
and there's no lead up to like why it would be your radio or how
This is
it's your
terrible.
radio. Yeah,
It's bad poetrty.
Okay, so I guess I
You
kind
want
of
to know what bad poetry is? It's my companion. Yeah.
Wow, going out on a limb, reputation on
what-
the line right now.
What was that? Do you remember
Holy
there was
fuck.
this website from the 2000s of like really harsh and rigorous critique of children's artwork? Do you remember that?
No,
I'll have to find
that's
this.
awesome.
I'll have to find this and
Yeah.
send it to you, and you put it in the episode description
will.
if I get it to you in time.
I guess I agree with you that My Companion is a negative standout for that reason. I love that it has a heel turn in the last lyric, but it makes you scratch your head because it's actually it's a big setup for a
dumb.
horrible punchline. It's like
It's
the
dumb.
worst punchline ever.
Yes.
Why is it your radio? Why? What?
Yes,
How
exactly.
you didn't explain that at all. You're like explaining it's gonna be something, but then it's like 2 + 2 = 5. Like it's what the fuck?
Yeah, James Cameron.
Stop! I don't
What?
want to. This is not going to be an Avatar
You're talking
referendum
about-
video.
You are very eloquently making critiques on the problems that exist in Avatar. What? All right.
Okay, your next negative standout is
That's it. I said that
Okay.
little sports car in My Companion, and mainly just because like they're forgettable. Because after you listen to the album like 4 times, 5 times, yeah, it's a similar phenomenon as what happened with Trout Mask Replica, which is like you slowly get worn down by it.
Yeah.
And you slowly kind of get transported into the headspace of the album.
Yeah.
And I think that there's an appreciation for a lot of the songs that starts to emerge, but those ones, there just isn't anything in there.
The middle chunk of the album, a lot of stuff after My Pal Foot Foot, and like there's like 3, 4, or 5 songs after that where I'm just like,
yeah,
whatever, dude. Like,
whatever. Yep.
Fuck you. Like, fuck you. Like, whatever. Okay, so my standout songs time.
Yeah, your standouts.
Okay. These are all kind of negative standouts, to be honest. I do have my favorite best are like legit favorite bests.
Mine too.
But yeah, these ones, the standouts, it's hard to come up with a lot of good reasons to pick songs on this record. Who Are Parents is, for the good things I'll say about it, is that it's like kind of one of the catchier things on the record.
Mm-hmm.
It's also one of the weirder things on the record. It reminds you that this
bizarre.
It's a big, heavy reminder that this is like homeschool kid core music. Like,
right. Yeah. I'm going to sing a song about
my parents.
How great. And yeah. And like taking like a bizarrely adult sanctioned type of view on how good and important parents are.
Like an authoritarian
Yeah.
view.
It's very homeschool kid vibe.
Yeah, it feels
Yes.
like a song like a North Korean person would write in praise of Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that window of youth where those kids would write this song.
Yeah,
and this would be the lyrics that come to their mind.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, there was a family who lived out near my house outside of Tascadero, where I grew up. And I think there were like 3 daughters, and they were like a weird religious homeschooled family.
I knew kids like that too.
Yeah. And I went over to their house once or twice, and I could see they would have written a song like this.
Absolutely.
They would have written Who Are Parents.
They're like weird, like little tattletales, and like they'll never break the rules, and like
they believe in the structure, the authority,
and rules of authority. Yeah, like
they buy into it.
Yeah, big time. It's weird. It's culty shit. It reminds me of just a quick story of that I have from my own life growing up. Like I think I brought it up once in the show. I was raised Mormon, and there was a little while where, like, up until I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, I like fully bought in. I was like really into it, right? Yeah. Like I got baptized in the temple, and like I did all this shit, right? I was like totally on the path of like becoming a missionary and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember at the height of my, like, I will call it indoctrination in that religion. I think I was 8 years old, and I remember this. I have a memory of this because I remember looking back on it in my teen years and thinking, holy fuck, like, whoa, I can't believe I said that. But I was in the backseat of my parents' car, and we were driving home from church, and I remember looking at my parents in the rearview mirror, and I remember saying to my parents, God, I really can't wait to be dead. And my parents, I'm 8 years old, and they're
like, what?
Yeah, my parents are like,
what?
Yeah, they're like, what? Why are you saying that? Like, that's awful. I'm like, well, because then we get to go be with Jesus. Don't you guys want to be dead?
Makes sense to me.
Sounds way better. Like, then you get to go to heaven, which is like the whole deal we're here for, right? It's like way better. And like now, I would say something like that ironically to like piss off my mom.
Yeah.
But I meant it. I meant it. Like, I meant it. Like, I want to die so that I can go be with Jesus. Like,
yeah, no, I had a similar sort of thing, because I was raised without any religion at all. And I remember having a sort of a similar thought, but from the other side when I was a little kid, of like, because at this point in my life, I understood what the ideas of heaven and the afterlife were, and I understood that there were people who literally believed that. And so I didn't understand why they were sad when someone in their family died.
Totally.
Why are you sad?
You should be stoked.
Yeah.
This is it. He made it. He got out.
But like, your beloved person is in heaven.
Yeah,
What the fuck are you crying about?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, so my next standout, now that we all know how close I was to writing a song like My Pal Foot Foot, my next standout is that song, My Pal Foot Foot.
But you don't agree with my take about the drums?
I actually think it's her worst performance.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think it's the most meandering. It's the most like out of sync, out of time. It's just
I agree with all that.
Such bullshit. It's awful. It's
I think
awful dog
I
shit.
call it I call it her standout moment because I've completely given up on any hope of Helen playing in time. You know, it's like she's not gonna. So
Yeah.
it's just like
But
the
she at
moment
least plays
where she
drum
just
beats in some songs. She'll play drum beats. She doesn't play a drum
That's
beat.
a good
in this
point.
song.
There's not even any beats in Foot.
It's
Foot.
just like
That's
doom,
true.
doom, doom. It's just like real everywhere.
So I
Explain
think that,
yourself.
I think that's why I liked it because it made me feel happy that like, you know what, like go for it, Helen.
Yeah,
like
that's
she's
true.
finally she's just letting
You
she's
do
just
you, girl.
singing. Yeah, exactly.
For on one
She's just
song, be Helen.
singing that little crazy song in her heart on this. You know,
Yeah.
like she's not gonna win the
Yeah.
game anyway. Just let her twirl around out there. You know.
So I would say My Pal Foot Foot is like my by far and away number one negative standout. It's their most famous song because I think it's such a weird
Yeah,
song.
It is.
But it's their most famous song. I hate this song. I really can't stand this
I'm
song.
so glad that you said, dude, the way that you and I disagree, usually in this section of the show, all these 2 weeks, I've been sitting here like, I fucking know it. Nate is going to say like, oh, I love my pal Foot Foot. It's such a good song.
No,
You know,
I know.
Natey in his Nate way. I know it. He would say that.
No,
But I'm
dude.
so happy. I'm so
Good.
proud of you, man.
Good. We can finally agree on
Thank
one
you for
thing.
hating this song. Thank you
I-
for being connected to reality. in
This
some
song-
semblance.
This song gives me such fucked up bad vibes. It scares me. This song actually frightens me in a way. Like
Is it
the
'cause of the
idea,
drawings?
the drawings. Okay, the idea of like the drawing is like it's like a foot with a face on it and a tail. So it's like a cross between a foot and a cat. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. And then that image paired with this music, this song is fucked up vibes, fucked up. Like kind of gave me nightmares a couple times because I usually listen to this shit before bed, and sometimes I'll get a little stoned.
Why do you listen to this before bed? What the
It's like the best time of day where I can.
That's the other
focus.
thing. By the way, I didn't say anything in the beginning of the episode when I asked you, oh, why did you pick this album? You're like, well, I was trying to. This is my impression of you. Well, I was trying to decide what album to pick. And so as I was laying in bed, you know, I just put on the Shags.
I did.
And, I'm like, why did you put on the Shags while you're laying in bed? What the fuck? How
I don't know.
How
don't
did
know.
you make that decision?
I don't know.
What is happening in your mind at this time?
I was excited for the
in
episode.
the words of Mohammed Salah.
I get nervous the nights before we record. I couldn't think of what to pick. I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll do the Shags. Fuck
I'll
it.
just put on the Shags.
I'll just listen to the Shags.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I
Anyway,
really
yeah.
And My Pal Foot Foot, the fact that a lot of people like this unironically, or they claim to, even though
They
it's like
claim that it's
the
unironic.
most ironic liking
I
of a
do
thing
not
I've
believe
ever
you.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate this song. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's cursed to
Yeah.
use a more modern parlance. And then my final standout is Why Do I Feel? And this I claim is not only the best Helen moment, it's the best moment of the whole band as a cohesive group on the whole album.
Musically, you mean?
Musically, Why Do I Feel? The intro to Why Do I Feel? It's the one that goes.
Oh, is that the
da-na,
da-da,
da-na,
da-da,
da-da,
da-da?
da-da,
Yeah.
da-da. And they actually play in
Okay.
time one
You're right.
time on the whole album.
You're right.
And then the rest of it is
You're
a
almost never
cacophonous
right, but
fucking
you're right.
mess. But
Yeah, it immediately then descends into the same shit that the rest of the
Same
album
bullshit,
is.
yeah.
But you're right. Yeah. Helen and all of them are
All of
playing
them.
in time. And again, this underlines my point I was making earlier. The reason why this sounds better, it's just as much out of tune.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as much of a stupid, unimaginative melody.
Yep.
The reason why it sounds better is because the rhythm makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Favorite best.
So yeah, favorite best, if you're not aware, is me and Brandon's favorite game, where we
That's also the best game.
it is it is our favorite and it is the best game, but it's where we often make the case that just because something is your favorite doesn't mean it's the best, and just because something is the best, that doesn't automatically make it your favorite, right? So
The classic example I always use is my favorite Tarantino movie is The Hateful Eight, but the best one is obviously Pulp Fiction.
yeah, that's a good favorite best right there. So let's start with you. What is your favorite?
So for me, in this, having said that, this is one of those cases where to me, the favorite and the best are the same song. My favorite one, and I feel that the best song is Who Appearance.
Okay. Yeah, that was my good standout, I think.
Yeah, you had it stand. So yeah, I think that this is the only one on the entire album that has any moment in it, any semblance of it, where like you can say like, okay, that's actually a song. That's a decent song.
Like
It's fine.
that's a song.
Yeah, that's a song.
Even more than Philosophy of the World, you think?
Philosophy of the World, I think, is good in. I like the lyrics.
But it's a bunch of
unless you-
bullshit musically, though.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't. Right. I think that Who Appearance.
Oh my God. We're
there's
going
like
to get a guitar demo. Getting a guitar demo for the Shags episode. I love this.
So I'm gonna be, totally rounding out the edges, and this may actually be really far away from what they're doing, but this is the only time where what I feel that they're trying to play comes across.
Okay.
Because I do believe that what Betty and Dot are smacking away on those guitars, I think that they can hear some sort of chord shape and some sort of like cadence of where the music goes that they hear in their song that they're trying to get to come off of their fingers. It just isn't. And they just, sort of at this point in time, just kind of lack the ear training to
articulate
really be able to discern the difference between what comes off of their fingers and what is in their mind.
Sure. Yeah.
They can't tell.
Yeah.
But I think that Who Are Parents, the chorus only, specifically only the chorus, is the moment where what they're intending sort of pokes through and you can actually kind of hear it. So it's, parents are the ones who understand. And then parents are the ones who always there.
Yeah.
And so it has the, and then it goes to the minor. And back when we did our episode on the Strokes, and we had our genius guest, Maddie Gregg.
We should have had him on for this.
Oh, man. I would love to hear what Maddie Gregg has to say. Although it might just be, this is all
sucks.
bullshit.
Yeah,
this is just terrible.
bullshit.
And
Yeah.
end of story. But do you remember when he was when we were asking him, what is it, like songwriting wise, musically wise, that's happening in these Strokes songs that makes them so fucking good? And he told us a couple specific things. And one of them, he said the actual name for it, but I can't remember what it was. But essentially it's you sing one thing or you play one thing and then you do it again, except only one part of it is changed now.
Right.
And so it's a same but different. And the chorus of Who Appearance has that in it. It's da 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 ba da 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 over major chords, and then move up to like the second degree, the same thing in like the Dorian mode version of it.
Mhm.
And it has the moment of the dynamics at the end,
True.
right? It's the only song where they do the thing where the chorus happens only once, a couple times in the song, but then at the end they repeat the chorus out of the song, which is a very traditional thing to do in a pop song that for some reason the Shags do. But the last go round of the chorus at the end, the dynamics come down and they whisper. They sing the same thing, but they whisper it and then end it sweetly.
Yeah, it's true.
Blah. And then Helen just plays a couple terrible drum hits.
John Bonham hits.
It takes her a while to realize that the song is over. But like, you see what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that is cool.
It has. So that's my argument for it being the best.
Sure.
Like, it actually has components that make it be like, yeah, that's a good song. Hey, it's a good song. That's fine.
And it's your favorite as well, though.
And it's my favorite because that melody just gets in my mind. And that's the one that I've been finding myself singing to myself throughout the couple weeks.
Fair.
And enjoying it.
Fair.
I like that melody.
Mm-hmm. My favorite thing that just happened is I basically set Brandon up for an impossible task, which was to use a guitar to demonstrate something good about the Shags, and you passed with flying colors, and it made me laugh. That's all I was hoping to get out of this episode. Was to amuse me.
To make you, I live to make you laugh. I just want to make Nate happy.
So okay, my favorite is Philosophy of the World. That's the one.
Yeah.
If we're talking melodies that
pick.
get stuck in your head,
That's a good pick.
that one gets really stuck in my head. Like really easy melody.
Yep.
I get kind of weird Carter Family vibes from this too, and I think that comes from the weird insular, like inbreedy feeling kind of family going on here. Like so I get there's
forcing
kind of
your daughters to be entertainers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just the amateurness of these three daughters singing kind of reminds me of like a shitty Nightmare World Carter Family, which is interesting. I think like you already said, it hooked me right in with like being a great opener for the album and possibly one of the only decent songs on the whole album. The whole middle chunk, honestly, maybe even the whole everything after Foot Foot, and I would even include Foot Foot because I hate it. It's just notable. Like you can have it pretty much. It's all pretty crap. But
Philosophy of the World, like I think I said, was what I originally put as my favorite, and I ended up changing it. Yeah.
Definitely is my favorite. Aside from that, what is it, like the third lyric about cars and motorcycles?
Yeah, the boys with motorcycles want cars, and the boys with cars want motorcycles.
But you know what? Again, like I kind of was saying before, is having that dumb lyric in there that undermines all of it and shows how accidental any genius shit in this is. It shows you that it's like this wasn't. They stumbled into this.
You could take a perspective that like you could like see what she's trying to do, which is like connect the mundane to the
broader.
Connect the big scope to the small scope.
Do you think that's what she was doing?
No, but
yeah, exactly. I don't either.
Yeah. So maybe the song Philosophy of the World maybe is the one true example of accidental genius, I don't know. Because the rest of it isn't. The rest of the album.
The fact that you can tell the lyrics in Philosophy of the World are accidentally genius is because that third verse kind of gives it away. If it was actually genius, it would actually be genius, right? Like the rest of it is kind of smart and interesting.
Right, yeah. If she was trying to connect the mundane to the big, like the small scope to the big scope, like
it
she
wouldn't
would
be
pick
cars and
something
motorcycles,
else.
or short hair, long hair.
And maybe that was very personal. Maybe she wished that she could have short hair.
Yeah. And short hair versus long hair in the 60s took a whole different connotation too. It's like that's a societal thing. Cars, motorcycles, though, that's where I'm kind of like, I smell bullshit. This album's not as smart as you think it is, people. This is fucking stupid. So, but still, favorite Philosophy of the World. Best, you have to see this coming. What do you think?
Wait, let me see if I can guess. Best.
We haven't talked about it yet.
You're gonna okay. He's gonna try to say that the best song is "It's Halloween."
Yes.
Oh my god.
You want to know why? You want to know why? I have a real reason. I have a real reason. One, this is not the main reason, but one reason, they actually pick a topic, a cogent thing to sing about. And it's like a decent Halloween song where they sing.
Parents aren't a cogent thing. Parents? Who are parents?
Who are parents?
Sorry, go ahead.
But it's a pretty cogent, well, not weird. Not
Savior Jesus isn't a cohesive. No,
it's not like a. Ironically, it's not a weird, creepy topic, even though it's Halloween. It's like this is like a cute song young girls would write. Like it's not creepy in like a weird, like kept girl kind of way. Like I'm kept by my fucking psychotic dad.
That you would want to hear
from a little girl band.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's whatever.
Yeah. Even Dracula will be there.
And that right there is the reason I think it's the best.
Because they actually
stop. Even Dracula will be there. And then they all come back together.
That is possibly the most musically sophisticated moment on the entire album.
It is.
It is. Like by far, actually.
Because playing the part in Why Do I Feel, the intro to Why Do I Feel, when they're all playing in time, da-na, da-na, that is they pulled it off, but it's not musically sophisticated whatsoever. Right. It's like the easiest, lowest bar.
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Whereas doing the full hard stop and then sneaking in, even Dracula will be there, and then coming back in together.
Yeah.
I'd have to practice that.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we'd have to practice that.
That is okay.
That's tough.
That's true.
So for that reason, and I love Halloween.
Yeah, you're just a. I love too how they say like there's gonna be ghosts and vampires and I love how they say Frankensteins.
Yeah.
There's going to be plural Frankensteins.
Don't they say like minstrels and gypsies too? They say like weird shit too.
Really?
Like back when there was like non-IP Halloweens. Yeah, they say weird shit.
Oh, there are witches, goblins, vampires, devils, Frankensteins, and zombies.
And then also there are twamps, Cinderellas, pirates, angels, and gypsies.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the things that the kids are going to dress up as. So first she lists the spooky things, and then the nice things.
Yeah.
Cinderellas and angels.
Yeah. So interesting. I guess it's the best. It is kind of the best. It's like a decent theme, and they're sort of playing together.
Well, it's definitely the natest song.
Yeah, it's true.
But you're right. My picks aren't the same as yours, but totally valid choices.
I think Who Are Parents is like I get being favorite best. I totally do.
Who Are Parents?
Who Are Parents? That's the one we've like this whole time before recording too. Me and Brandon have just been doing Who Are Parents.
It's catchy, bro.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.
It's good.
Come on. Did you know that the Shag's Philosophy of the World came out? It was released one day before Trout Mask Replica was released.
What? No, I did not.
They were
know
released on sequential days.
Wow. Interesting. That's fucking crazy, actually.
These two binary stars that revolve around each other, that forever, for all of time, will be the two always compared to each other, always used as the reference point for outsider art, outsider music, and all that shit
Wow.
came into existence at the exact same time, which means these two groups of people were held inside those houses and were practicing, being drilled by drill sergeants, getting ready to record at the same time.
That's fucking crazy.
Isn't that
actually.
crazy?
That is. This is kind of like you know how A Bug's Life and Ants came out the same year?
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those.
Annihilation and Deep Impact. You know?
Yeah. Or what are the two Volcano movies? It was Volcano and Dante's Peak, I believe. Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Nate?
Yeah. So initially when I picked this album, I kind of wanted it to serve as like a discussion point for us to talk about what's known as outsider music, right? Outsider music is music made by people who have who don't quite understand how to make music, or maybe they don't they didn't learn how to make music like the right way, or they approach music from like a really esoteric kind of non-commercial kind of direction or something, or it's just,
or they don't have the intention of it
being successful,
yeah.
or maybe they're just unaware. Maybe because like a lot of people in the outsider music scene like have autism and stuff like that, so maybe they're just kind of unaware even that their music is like a little weird to most people. One of my
favorites. Shout out to Wesley Willis, man.
Totally, yeah. He's a really famous outsider artist.
Birdman kicked my ass. Yeah.
My favorite being Daniel Johnston. I like him a legit Daniel Johnston fan. Like I fucking love him. I saw him live in concert before he passed away.
And we are fans of these guys because we are millennials and therefore insufferably ironic and claim that our ironic fandom is not ironic.
Yeah. So there's like kind of a lot of people like to say that the Shags are like the original outsider artists, right? But the thing about outsider music is a lot of these musicians, they're searching for the song that is in their heart. And it might come out weird. It might come out non-musical to your ears or super musical to someone's ears or whatever. But these are people under their own free will making art, right? And it's just they're weird people and they make weird art, right?
Free will being the thing that you're pointing out here.
Yeah. And so what I would contend is, and actually this isn't even a contention I'm making. This is actually there was the Pitchfork reviewed Philosophy of the World in 2016. The reviewer was named Quinn Moreland. And I'll just read his quote that he left towards the end of the Pitchfork article. Quinn says, since Philosophy of the World became a cult classic in the 70s and 80s, critics have been quick to label the Shags as outsider musicians. But if the outsider music genre is meant to be the logical counterpart to outsider art, the Shags do not quite qualify. The Shags were forced to make music by a father who physically removed them from school. While the Shags may have been expressing genuine emotions, it was not of their free will. Quote from Helen, "It was just something we had to do." So the fact that these girls were compelled to do this, to me, it kind of removes the central thing that a lot of people claim is interesting about this. All you're hearing is like trauma. It's just girls being traumatized, right? It's not funny. It's not quirky. It's not interesting. It's not really that interesting when you boil it down. It's like this one fucking psychotic dude who forced these poor girls to do this. And I would love to hear the album from the Wiggins where they weren't forced to do this.
That they wanted to make. Yeah. Right. No, that
is not what this is.
Like from that quote and from what you're saying, it like I'm hearing that like the argument is that this actually can't even be called art.
Yeah.
They can't actually be called artists because they weren't, sitting down to express themselves or to express something.
Yeah. There was no
That's interesting.
free expression really happening here. It was all coercion, right? And so we shouldn't even talk about this. Like, we shouldn't. It's fucked
Pull
up.
the plug on the episode.
It's fucked
Screw
up.
it. Burn it. Yeah.
Like, is it the worst album? Is it the worst album ever made? It might be. I don't know. But like, it's even worse than that. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's not quirky. It's not twee pop or whatever the fuck. That's so stupid. It's just fucked up.
We forgot to do our section of hot takes. This sounds like this could qualify as your hot take, even though I don't think it. Although I will say it's hot in the sense that you don't hear people saying what you're saying very much in the popular discourse about the Shags.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's hot at all because I think you're spot on completely, and I agree with everything that you're saying. My hot take is vocally. We're talking about vocals.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfectly fine.
Okay.
There's really not much wrong with the Shags in terms of their singing.
That is maybe the only thing that is in tune.
It is in tune. It's in key.
Yep.
It's almost always they're singing in a major key, but they are actually hitting the notes. And here's the thing that proves to me that Dot and Betty are competently singing what they are intending to sing, which is that every performance on this album, they're singing perfectly in unison.
It's true.
And perfectly rhythmically synchronized.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said before, in one take.
Yeah.
So they showed up at the recording studio one day and they're like, okay, we're going to play all of our songs once. Set up their guitars, turn on their amps, ready, go. And Dot and Betty sing every single one of these songs in one try perfectly together.
Yeah. And like we brought up earlier in the episode, I think in the very beginning, I brought up one of the people in the Dot Wiggin band. She points out the hardest thing about covering these songs is every syllable is a different note. So na 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 na, which is like not really how a lot of melodies tend to go.
And that makes it so much harder to memorize.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my God.
Because by the accounts that I read, it seemed like Dot primarily wrote all these songs.
Yeah.
Right? So that means Betty needs to learn what Dot wrote. And when a melody is that constantly in motion.
Yeah.
And when the whole repertoire of songs, all the songs are like that, and they all resemble each other so much, that makes it so much harder to keep straight in your mind which one is which, what order do they come in, and how does this melody go as opposed to the other fucking 50 that are just like it, but Betty was able to do it, and they did it.
Yeah.
And so my hot take is that is very hard to do.
Yeah.
And in that regard, they're actually really good. Everything else is terrible.
Yeah.
The guitar playing, the guitar, everything having to do with the guitars is dog shit. Everything having to do with the drums, dog shit. But these poor children.
I think we've successfully of established a low for the show, which is what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do with this. I wanted to establish a lot
Mission accomplished. A new low.
But not a low that was like, ironically, I don't think this is low-hanging fruit, because a lot of people retrospectively will claim that this is like some kind of fucking masterpiece. Pitchfork gave it an 8.6 in 2016. I find that to be so offensive to so many musicians they review. I mean, they already are just like the most offensive like rag when it comes to like producing music reviews.
I want to talk to like a band who they gave an 8.5.
Dude,
And they're
right?
like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, dude, this album can still be notorious and worth knowing as like a legendary rock and roll like album, but it is. But you cannot say that this is great music. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I agree. It is interesting. It is fascinating. Things can be learned from it, but it is not genius.
No, not at all.
And like you convinced me at the end, I'm not even so sure you could say that this is art.
Not really. Not really. Art should be someone's self-expression, right? And this is like a weird dictated expression of their dad via their grandmother. It's real fucking weird shit. It's just weird.
Yeah, something. It's a piece of music that was unwillingly pulled out of somebody. You know, like. And if that is art, then what isn't art? You know,
it's like art via indentured servitude or something.
Right.
It's like fucked up.
Yeah, it undermines the definition of what art is, if that is art. You know?
Yeah.
So
interesting. But yeah, we have established, a bottom rung, for albums that we'll discuss on the show. Speaking of, Brandon, are you going to try and clear the bar? Are you going to try to go lower? Can you beat me? I dare you.
Wow, that's an interesting challenge. Can I take us lower than the Shags?
Yeah.
I don't think I can. And if I could, I would have needed a lot more time to try to maybe come back to me in a couple weeks. I might have something for you.
Yeah, keep listening out there. If you want an album recommendation worse than the Shags was before.
Yeah, no, I want to take us to into an album that is good. Since you and I last week went to go see Gorillaz live,
we did,
right? Nate and I went and saw Gorillaz performed
their brand new album.
Their brand new album, The Mountain, in its entirety.
At the Palladium.
At the Palladium in LA. As I was standing there, I was like, I know what album we're doing next.
Yeah.
We're going to do Plastic Beach by Gorillaz.
Well, I can't wait. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
Yeah, Plastic Beach. Hell yeah. All right. Well, if you've made it this far into the episode, congratulations. If there's any we're going for that Shags Gorilla fan crossover. We're going for that guy, whoever that guy is, whose favorite artists are Shags and Gorillaz. This episode's for you, dude. What's up? Hi, we're Nate and Brandon. So if you've made it this far, we are also a band called Black Market Dub. We primarily make reggae and dub music. You can find our entire discography on Bandcamp at blackmarketdub.bandcamp.com. A bunch of really fun dub remixes of pop songs that are actually good. We actually do a pretty good job on most of it, I would say.
The rhythm, everything is in time. The notes are played on beat.
Brandon tunes his guitars. I tune mine most of the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/blackmarketdub. Over there, you can get a bunch of blogs that I've written for the show, and also all the episodes over there are ad-free. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify or watching on YouTube, you're going to be hit with a bunch of annoying, probably boner pill ads, I would imagine. I don't really check, but I bet that's probably what you're getting.
Yeah.
So if you want to skip that, go ahead and throw us $5, patreon.com/blackmarketdub. Yeah, please rate, review, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. It really helps us. We're like a teeny tiny show. We're bursting with ideas and creativity, and we could really use your support. Truly.
So small.
Yeah. So stay tuned for the next episode when we do Gorillaz Plastic Beach. That's going to be really fun. Brandon.
Yo.
Do you have any parting shagadelic lyrics for us.
How have we not said shagadelic once in this entire? Yeah, I do. All right, folks, and we will see you next time. We love you, and remember, the skinny people want what the fat people's got, and the fat people want what the skinny people's got. You can never please anybody in this world. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You're welcome.